Welcome to the NFL Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com. Nate and Josh here with you guys using DK Pick6 once again to go ahead and see about some more or less on these player props that we've got coming up here for week 13 in the NFL. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, but let's go ahead and jump right into our first look here. We're talking about Ladd McConkey here, more than 51.5 receiving yards, Nate.
Yeah, a lot of buy low spots in this game in particular, specifically, the Chargers, both offenses, but this is Raiders at Chargers, and both offensive lines were pretty much the worst units in the league the last time we saw them, right? Just getting absolutely swarmed. Quarterback has no time to pass. So, of course, Ladd did not have a very good game when they scored 6 points, and Justin Herbert, I don't even know if he got to 100 yards. So now the number is pretty low. I believe it is 50. It's toggled to 52, 51. Whatever, that either one's fine. I just think that the Chargers passing game is going to have a lot of success here against the Raiders coverage unit that is second worst in the NFL, according to Pro Football Focus grade. That is particularly vulnerable in the slot. Ladd has the second highest slot rate of any wide receiver in the league. He only went for 5 for 48, right, in week 2 against Vegas. That was kind of a sloppy primetime game on the road. And that was early in the season when teams were really doubling Ladd after his huge finish last year. They didn't have as much respect for the other weapons on this Chargers offense. Now you integrate Oronde Gadsden, who's also a pretty good bounce back candidate. There's just a lot more to worry about. I don't think you can double them. I don't think the Raiders tend to double much. They sit in their kind of base cover 3. That's been the Pete Carroll philosophy for a long time. And it's just kind of easy for a guy like Ladd to find gaps in that zone. Using incredible separation skills, get open down on levels routes, down and on a post corner, whatnot. Omari Hampton is returning. I mean, that's good in terms of a threat of the running game, but I don't know if he's going to be like a huge workload. I think he needs a little bit of a ramp up. When it just came out, he actually had a broken ankle, not a high ankle sprain. So that's why he was out so long. And so the Chargers, I think, are going to continue to be one of the more pass heavy teams out there.
Yeah, it adds up. And I mean, I think with this Charger squad, it usually just comes down to like, what's the matchup? Because that's who you're going to see Herbert go to a bit more. And so to, all the points that you're making here, this is one of those where you go to the speedy little cross guy that's going to be just finding those soft spots as much as you can. But let's get over to a guy here in Bowers, who this is like a nice spot, even though the yardage here at 56.5 receiving yards, we're going more on that one. Still like a decent number for him, especially it's once you get into the like 60s, that's when I start to get a little bit scared going more than for Mr. Bowers there. But when you look at the spot for him, like you've got no more Chip Kelly. We've got Greg Olsen in, not the broadcaster to be specific, but other Greg Olsen, longtime pro here, who's much more likely to use, these slightly more jumbo formations, establish the run, always have at least one tight end on the field to that effect. And he'll be the guy at this point when you actually run, even if it's slightly fewer jumbo and it's slightly less 12 sets, then it's still going to be right Bowers on the field there. And it's just more likely that he's the guy that's also out there for the run blocking as well. But it should help tight end receiving when you talk about sort of like if you go back to the days of playing Madden, having one tight end running some corners, running some sort of crossing routes, and having Bowers run down the seams as well, I think, in this matchup. But like this is the target here, especially with Trey Tucker now dinged up as well. And you don't even have necessarily your speedy crossing guy there. It's basically like Bowers and then maybe some iteration of Tyler Lockett. But I like Bowers to be able to handle business in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this was always the theory is that the Geno Smith said coming into the season, he's just like, I just want to get the ball to Bowers every play. And for some reason, like Chip Kelly couldn't make that happen, except for the one where Bowers came back healthy against Jacksonville. So clearly he's capable of it physically. And then it was just a scheme issue. Like there are even rumors that Chip Kelly was like not getting the play call in right. He was like botching it. And then Geno like didn't even know what was going on. And Pete Carroll's like, no, that wasn't the case. But like, this is also the first time I've ever fired someone in the middle of the season. So clearly he was messing this offense up to some degree. So I think if you want to buy again, yeah, this is the same matchup, Chargers Raiders. I think you can buy both offenses here and get some more plays in. Speaking of the Jags, Trevor Lawrence, I will not buy his passing. I will not, sir. But more than 15 rushing yards seems totally possible here. Jacksonville is at Tennessee, and the Titans' defensive line has looked a lot better since the bye week. Of course, you get an all-world D tackle in Jeffrey Simmons back. You also get your best run stopper back in Tavondre Sweat, and that makes sense. So they're really strong up the middle. They might do a pretty good job limiting this Jaguars run heavy offense, which since their bye week, that's exactly what Liam Cohen's been doing. Just being like, let's protect Trevor Lawrence, the most turnover prone quarterback of the last 5 years, and let's just run the rock. And that's also led to a lot of designed runs for Lawrence, who has 6 carries on average, 24 yards per game. He has 3 touchdowns on the ground. So he's been pretty consistent running the ball since that change in philosophy. He's a really good athlete. Throws a good ball. It's just the decision making that's kind of scary. And I don't think you're very scared of the Titans offense on the other side. So I would expect it to stay conservative in terms of like, just don't throw the ball to the other team. This Titans defense has been vulnerable against athletic rushing quarterbacks. Herbert and Drake May, big rushing lines against them. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Jags are in neutral or trail script here against a division opponent, despite how bad the Titans have been really before the bye week. They've looked actually pretty spunky since then.
Spunky is the word for sure, and I do think you can sort of rely on the need for him to keep the ball in his hands a bit more than otherwise if you were expecting the Titans to just sort of like fold and give up. Nah, man. I mean, especially when you beat a division team that you've always looked at as like you're a foe, you're going to bring it no matter what week of the season it is, and if you're still playing your starters like they are, then yeah, that's what's been planned for them all season. So let's take a quick sec. Talk about the awesome deal here for new DraftKings customers. So listen up, because our partners at DraftKings Pick6 do have a deal that you don't want to miss. When you play $5 or more on your first paid Pick6 entry, you'll get $50 in Pick6 credits. That's right, play $5, get 50 in Pick6 credits to lock in your picks and take your shot at big wins. Just use our link to sign up and start playing. If you've been thinking about trying Pick6, now's the time to get in. Just use the link in the bio to sign up, and all new DraftKings customers can play $5 and get $50 in Pick6 credits. Let's build some of those lineups. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. In Connecticut, must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonuses awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos. Looking at RJ Harvey here, going more than on the rush yards at 49.5. Kind of a buy low spot here for Harvey, who's coming off a really tough matchup there. Even though he did have his first shot without J.K. Dobbins, not your ideal spot, going on basically a playoff game atmosphere there against the division opponents there in a big game against the Chiefs, who, as we know, also have that run stop in D. Now he does get that little bit of that post rookie bye. You get a little bump from that, right, with the ability to sort of have some time off. Finally, a little break from a really tough NFL season that actually wears on you a bit more than the college season probably does. And now you get a really nice spot to come back in from the bye against Washington. We got the 22nd ranked rush defense according to DVOA. They're allowing the 4th most DK points per game to RBs here. Really nice look at how that does impact, specifically the stats you get here on DK Pick6. And you're looking at a Broncos offensive line that's actually been number 1 according to the PFF grade this season. And it's something that they've been able to do, is be more smash mouth as a result of that offensive line.
Yeah, and you see we don't have the rush plus receiving yards up yet for Harvey. I mean, he is a pretty good receiving threat as well, but that's the big deal coming out of the bye, is that they've been using him sparingly most of the season, obviously playing behind a veteran like Dobbins, as a big play breaker. Easy for me to say, but now they get an opportunity against a soft defense to really integrate him as a potential bell cow back, at least a lead back, right? Behind that elite offensive line. Makes sense for him to get some stats up. John Metchie III. This is actually 34.5 right now, and more than 35 is still good for me. He is the most reliable receiver for the New York Jets, and that doesn't sound like a huge endorsement off the bat, but Tyrod Taylor's in there, and he is a professional quarterback. He is not a rusher like Justin Fields, who is basically a high school quarterback in terms of how he's approaching the game. Tyrod Taylor looked pretty good against Baltimore, which is a very good defense at this moment. And the targets were really streamlined, right? 19 of the 28 targets went to Metchie, Mason Taylor, the tight end, and A.D. Mitchell, who is a true wild card. Big play guy. We don't know what he's going to do. If he's going to get wide open, he might just drop the ball. Metchie caught 6 or 7 targets, right? He was extremely reliable. And he's from Alabama U, right? I mean, he's a wide receiver with pedigree. He just went through some personal stuff, I believe, for a while, and that kept him out of the league. But now he's in a situation where he's in the Garrett Wilson role, basically. I mean, not as talented as him, but targets are going to be funneled towards you, man. And the matchup against the Falcons, I mean, they're good overall in terms of pass defense yardage. You look at some of the underlying metrics, not that great. They also lost their nickel corner, Billy Bowman, and so D. Alford is now back in the slot. He's naturally an outside guy, and he got dusted for 41 yards on 6 catches by Devon Vele last week. I for my money, not any better than Metchie. And yeah, it's the role that's the bigger thing. He played 83% of the routes in week 11. Then we jumped to 100% after their mini bye week. After they played Thursday, the Jets, then they get the Ravens Sunday, and Metchie ran every single route, every single drop back for Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, it's good to have some usage, because that's going to need to be the key here. Is like you're getting a value on where the line is placed, as though he's not going to be out there that often. And if you find that spot that it's just going to keep rising with the snaps and the routes, to your point, especially like if he's out there, then he's running routes. That's what he's out there for. So I think you can bank on that in a game where they'll be throwing. But talking about a former Jets QB here, talking about Aaron Rodgers to close it out and going less than 200 yards pass. So we're talking about 199.5, obviously getting 199 or fewer here. And I do think that's going to be the case for A-Rod when you look at there's nothing downfield for him. And I know you were talking about potentially looking at DK as a fade as well, but I think that the fade here of Rodgers on the less than passing yards actually gives you even more likelihood, because if he does throw
and
at
if you
all,
look here, DK's down to 47. He was 50
wow,
a minute ago. So yeah, that is very low.
So yeah, we're getting out of range here. Like if he was at like the normal, like even like 62.5, right, receiving yards, maybe you consider that a nice less than play. But yeah, I don't know how you get there with him. But the 199.5 for Rodgers, like there's just really nothing downfield other than DK, and I don't think you're going to hit him for 4 shots downfield to get you to the 200 that you need. And when you consider the air yards, even for him, have gone down. If you look at him in the last 6, we're talking about just 70 air yards per game for someone that you expect to be closer to double that, right, per game. Really looking at not very many yards per game, by the way, not even 4 receptions per game over the course of the last 6 there, not even hitting 40 yards per game after a pretty nice start that you thought they were going to be connecting. That's just gone downhill. Same for the tight ends. Even for them, there were some deep shots for the tight ends there for a few weeks, and even that's just gone completely by the wayside. Mason Rudolph completed just 1 pass of 10 plus air yards when he was out there for the injured Rodgers. So it's not like it's really A-Rod's fault. This offense is just somewhat anemic, and it's also just the air game is. I mean, they're going to be looking for Jaylen Warren. They're going to be looking for Kenneth Gainwell, and those guys are probably going to also be heavily involved in the pass game, which is why his A-dot ranks worse than any other quarterback starting in the league right now, right? It's actually 36 when you look at the other guys who have had spot starts. His A-dot up 6.4 yards on average there. And the Bills, like, they are actually more vulnerable to the run than the pass. And if you expect the pass to be something he's going for, it's just probably not going to be downfield in this matchup or with the weapons at his disposal, and probably at his ripe old age of not wanting to get touched, right? You're not going to be waiting for guys to get down the field there with that Bills pass rush coming at you. So it doesn't look like a good spot for him to be getting downfield very much.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he does have some slice of the blame pie, as far as like Arthur Smith is not great unlocking any passing game. Let's be clear about that. But he's like, how am I going to call a deep shot if you see somebody coming and you just like curl into a ball, or you just like toss it out of bounds? And I mean, the prime time a couple weeks ago, right, where he did like a spin around and just like threw it in the turf. And it's just like, he's just refusing to take any hits. That's why he's getting it out short and quick, and why guys like Metcalf are not getting much going. And as we saw, if it is Mason Rudolph or if Rodgers gets knocked out of this game, they're not passing it downfield either. Like this, just the Steelers are just going to try to ride these 2 backs and play defense.
Yeah, 100%. So that's all the time we have for you in this one, though. Definitely make sure to continue to follow along. We're back here each and every week with you guys in partnership with DK Pick6. So until we see you next, best of luck.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 credits that expire in 14 days. Ends December 2nd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.